Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting video about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Today we'll be talking about the last habit, habit 7, sharpen the saw. It surrounds the other habits because it's the habit that makes all others possible. Habit 7 is all about continuous improvement. And habit 7 is preserving and enhancing the greatest asset that you have, which is you. It's renewing the 4 dimensions of our nature: physical, spiritual, mental, and the social and emotional. Sharpening the saw is basically about exercising all 4 dimensions regularly and consistently in wise and balanced ways. To do this, we must be proactive. Sharpening the saw is a quadrant 2 activity. It must be acted on. Investment in ourselves is the single most powerful investment we can make in our lives. We are the ones that create results and produce, and in order to be effective, we need to invest in ourselves. The physical dimension is about caring effectively for our body, eating the right kinds of foods, getting enough rest, and exercising on a regular basis. Exercising is one of those Q2 activities that a lot of us don't do because it isn't urgent. And by not doing it, it eventually becomes urgent when our health problems catch up to us. A good exercise program is one that you can do at home and will help build your body in 3 areas: endurance, flexibility, and strength. Exercising on a regular basis will preserve and enhance our capacity to work and adapt and enjoy. The author says that exercising regularly will help develop your habit 1 muscles of proactivity. It will positively affect your view of yourself, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and your integrity. Next is the spiritual dimension. Renewing the spiritual dimension provides leadership in your life. It's highly related to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. The spiritual dimension is your core, your center, your commitment to your value system. It draws upon sources that inspire you and uplift you, and there are different ways to do it. Examples include meditation, reading literature, relaxing with nature. Spiritual renewal takes an investment of time. The author says that when we take the time to draw on the leadership center of our lives, what life is all about, it refreshes us and it renews us, particularly if we recommit to it. This is why a personal mission statement is so important. If we have a deep understanding of our center and our purpose, then we can review it and recommit to it frequently. After revisiting those deep values, we can continue to live our lives in harmony with those values. I would personally describe spiritual renewal as self-reflection. For example, after many months of going for a certain goal, your motivation starts to kind of fade away. And that's when you need to revisit the why of what you're trying to do, figuring out the reasons of why you're doing this in the first place. And after refreshing those thoughts in your mind, if it still aligns with what your life is all about, then you can recommit to it and keep going. Moving on. Most of our mental development and study discipline comes from formal education. But as soon as we leave school, a lot of us let our minds waste in the sense of our brain is not as activated as it used to be. The author then talks about television and how it influences us in a lot of ways. He says that we need to practice habit 3 and manage our lives effectively in order to maximize the use of any type of resource in accomplishing our mission, such as reading literature or watching TV. In the case that we don't, for example, there are many type of TV shows out there that just waste our time and don't add to our knowledge. The author emphasizes to continue your education, to improve and expand your knowledge. Sometimes that means going back to school, but in some cases it doesn't. Proactive people can figure out many ways on how to educate themselves. Especially in this age of technology, you can literally Google anything you want and learn all about it. Another way to expand your mind is to read good literature, a Q2 activity, which can expand your cultural awareness and expand your perspective about the world. Writing is another way to sharpen the mental saw. Write down your thoughts. Organizing and planning is another way to renew the mental dimension as well. The author calls the practice of sharpening the saw in the first 3 dimensions as the daily private victory. The daily private victory is completely within your circle of influence. It will affect every decision you make in your life, and it will greatly improve the quality and effectiveness of your life. While the physical, spiritual, and mental dimensions deal with self-development, the social and emotional dimension deals with habits 4, 5, and 6, centered on the principles of interpersonal leadership, empathic communication, and creative cooperation. The social and emotional dimensions are connected because our emotional lives are developed out of and manifested in our relationships with others. We can renew our social and emotional dimensions in our daily interactions with other people. For example, when it comes to working with someone, practice habit 4, Communicate with each other until you can both find a solution that you both feel good about. Practice habit 5. Seek first to understand the other person's point of view, then to be understood by communicating your point of view so that both sides can understand each other. Then we can move on to habit 6. We work together to produce third alternative solutions that are better than the solutions that you or I thought of initially. Moving on, the author says that in order for individuals and organizations to be effective, there needs to be a balanced renewal in all 4 dimensions of our nature: the physical, spiritual, mental, and the social and emotional. Neglecting one area negatively affects the rest. The things you do to sharpen the saw in one dimension have a positive impact on the other dimensions because they're all so highly interrelated. Your physical health affects your mental health. Your spiritual strength affects your social and emotional strength. Improvement in one habit increases our ability to live the rest of the other habits. Here's how the habits relate to each other. The more proactive you are, the more effectively you can exercise personal leadership and management in your life. The more effectively you manage your life, the more quadrant 2 renewing activities you can do. The more you seek first to understand, the more effectively you can go for synergetic win-win solutions. The more you improve in any of the habits that lead to independence, the more effective you will be in interdependent situations. And renewal is the process of renewing all the habits. As you renew your physical dimension, you reinforce your personal vision. As you renew your spiritual dimension, you reinforce your personal leadership. As you renew your mental dimension, you reinforce your personal management. Again, the daily private victory is the key to the development of the 7 habits and is completely within your circle of influence. The author says that it's the foundation to the daily public victory. It's the source of intrinsic security that you need to sharpen the saw in the social and emotional dimension. Finally, the author talks about the upward spiral. Renewal is the principle and the process that allows us to move on an upward spiral of growth and change. It's about continuous improvement. The author also emphasizes that in the process of renewal, we also need to develop our conscience, which is basically the ability to sense whether the way we live our lives is aligned or not aligned with correct principles. Our conscience and self-awareness will allow us to get back on the right track if we ever sway away from correct principles. Once we're self-aware, we must choose purposes and principles to live by, or else we'll end up losing our self-awareness, end up being lived, and reacting. The closer we align ourselves with correct principles, the better our judgment will be in terms of how the world operates and the more accurate our view of the world will be. Moving along the upward spiral requires us to continuously learn, commit, and do. The author says that we need to continue to educate our conscience in order to grow and move up on this upward spiral. To wrap it all up, it's all about continuous improvement of yourself and of your interactions with other people. Sharpening the saw keeps us fresh and renews us and allows us to continue to live the other 6 habits. Finally, renewal in the 4 areas allows us to grow and change. I hope you all enjoyed the summary of Habit 7, Sharpen the Saw. And that concludes the video series of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching every single video of this video series. Again, I highly recommend everybody out there to purchase the book and read it for yourselves to get the full details. The author explains everything in so much great depth, and he does a wonderful job at really making you understand these concepts. My final message to everybody about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is to live it. Live these habits. Apply these concepts in your lives. It's a huge, huge game changer, and it really makes a positive difference in your lives. Honestly, I wish that I knew about the 7 habits and all of the concepts it's all about a long time ago, such as in high school. Had I known about weekly planning instead of doing daily planning and putting out fires every single day on all the urgent stuff that comes out in my life, oh man, I would have been balancing my time so much better. And I would have been able to handle a lot of more different activities that I wanted to put in my life at that time, such as sports, clubs, and all the other stuff. Especially in college, I wish that I knew about this whole weekly planning thing and being proactive and having that mindset, knowing that, you're in control. In my bachelor's days, I thought, oh, I'm so busy, I never exercised at all. Like, I would exercise for like 2 weeks. The commitment wasn't there, I didn't have that strong foundation of, say, habit 2, right? Begin with the end in mind. So I stopped exercising. I guess I gained weight, right? I got really out of shape. I felt that, oh my gosh, I'm too busy to exercise. And I was trying to balance the Vietnamese Eucharistic youth movement too during my undergrad days, and I felt that that was just taking too much of my time. But again, had I known about weekly planning, I would have been able to balance, church stuff, school, exams, get A's everywhere for all those exams, and also exercise on a weekly basis. And I would have been well better off exiting my bachelor's of science degree, leaving college, and then eventually, doing the same thing, going back to grad school. But hey, it's better now than later, right? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, really great stuff. So that's all I have to say to everybody. I hope that you all enjoyed this video series. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment on your thoughts. Subscribe for more epic videos. And I'll see you all next time for the next exciting video, whatever that may be. Still thinking about it, but stay tuned. And this is me, Socrates. Until next time.